On behalf of entire Evosys Managed Services team, we'd like to welcome you all to this 22C PPM Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities that part of this code release which Oracle provides. My name is Hardik Patel, and I'm an operations manager here at Evosys Managed Services team. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague, Ami Chatakia, who's part of our vast finance PPM team at Evosys Mastech. Today, she'll take us through all the project portfolio management updates for 22C quarter release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes, and we'll make sure that we also leave some time to answer all your questions you may have. Before we move to today's agenda, let's have a quickly look at the important disclaimer, please. We would like to convey your approach towards Oracle updates in a very simpler method. We'll be taking you through vital analyses for the 22C updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. We'll also sync you on any known issues or bugs if there are any. It's good to have an interactive session, so please do ask all your questions during the session or at the end. This is to give you a glimpse on the next page on how we have crafted the structure of this session. Just bear with me, the page is loading. There's the first thing what you see is list of new features coming into 22C. The second one, what you see is detailing on features, so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. And the next one is what are the business benefits and important takeaway for you as a decision maker. And there are 4 components where we have done in-depth analysis for the features which we are going to present to you today. So the first one is the impact level analysis, which demonstrate the impact on end user. If it's a low impact, then regression testing can be avoided or not. If it's a high impact, then we need to offer regression testing. And the second one, which is we all are aware, there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. And the third one highlights the nature of the feature. There would be certain configuration which may be required and some can be used without any changes. And the last one, which is a quick win, this term we use to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and effort, and what requires significant amount of time and effort to make use of this feature. Apologies if you can see slowness in the screen. Since a bit of a technical glitch there. Before I hand it to my colleague, Amy, would like to note down with a quick poll on the screen that which industry your organization belongs to. So if you can please help us with a quick poll on the screen, it would help us crafting more fruitful webinars. Thank you so much. We'll be closing the poll in a few seconds, and then we'll begin for today's session on project portfolio management. So you can begin for today's session, Amy, and you can unmute yourself first and then begin. Thank you so much. Please unmute yourself, Amy. We can't hear you, just to correct. Anna, can you please confirm if you can hear Amy?
Thank you, everyone.
Now, Amy, I just unmuted, I think, or yourself. Please go ahead. We can hear you now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Hardik. Welcome everyone to Oracle PPM Cloud webinar for a 22C. I am Ami Jhatakia, a PPM consultant from Evosys Mastic. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So let's start with the new features being introduced in PPM 22C. In this upgrade, Oracle come up with the 18 new features being introduced in a 22C. From these, features are quite a quick wins. So we no need to do any extra configurations to opt these features. Once the instant is upgraded with the 22C, that can be easily available. Other 10 features are not a quick win features that are not once it's instead is upgraded with the 22C, we need to do a high level of configurations and settings before using the same feature. So overall, there are a very good new features came in this particular release. Oracle really focused on some of the good key pain areas, and many of the good features they picked from the Idea Lab. So make sure if in a future, if you have any concerns and the same concern is not resolved through the Oracle at the same time, we raise an idea and Oracle picked some of the highest voted idea into their next release. Along with this idea, Oracle focuses on some of the enhancing the REST API. So that will give us a more flexibility to do a better integrations to enhance the system. So let's tight your let's hold your seats tight and we'll go through all the new features that are a part of 22C in upcoming slides. So first, we cover the quick win features. As I mentioned, for the quick win features, there are no configuration is required. It will be easily used once the system is upgraded with the 22C. So first quick win features for the service excellence facility is allow access to the view project cost details from the OTBI report. So while we generating any project costing report from the OTBI tab, we show the costing details through the OTBI report only. But if we want to check the particular cost transactions in a detail, then what we need to do? We go to the UI, we go to the manage projects screen, we search the particular transaction and we can check the same transaction in a detail. So with these new features, Oracle introduce a deep link or a drill down in a OTBI report. So while we generate any report from the project costing subject area from the OTBI, we have we have get the one deep drink or drill down from this report, we can check the detailed transactions of this particular report. So no need to go to the different tab and search the transactions. We can easily access the transactions in a report through the OTBI. So I must say this is one of the good features that Oracle come up with the project costing, and it will be definitely save the times who are looking forward for the costing. Second new features that Oracle come up with in a 22C is easier maintenance of the labor rate schedule. In a rate schedule, currently at present, we define the rates against the job name. But what if in my organizations there are multiple job codes defined against the same job name? So that will be definitely a tricky that how can we identify that particular jobs against the job name just because of we have the multiple job codes against the same job name. So we don't have any features in this at present currently in the system. So now Oracle add one more column in the manage rate schedule tab. Through this tab we just identify the job codes as well. So if we want to add a new rate schedule line, we also add this particular rate schedule line against the job code or a job name or vice versa, and it will be a very easy to find the particular rates against the job code or a job name or a vice versa. So let's quickly move to the next feature for the project billing. Uh, for this non-quick win feature is invoice search using the project number. I get so many questions from the client that why we not searching the project number invoice using the project number, just because of sometimes it is very tedious to find the invoices with the project name, or in some of the organization it is always project number is widely recognized than the project name. So through this particular enhancement, in the manage invoice screen tab, Oracle added a one new search pane area, that is the project number. So now onwards, we can easily search the particular invoices through the project number, and it will give us also benefit that if there are a multiple project is mapped with the one single contract. So if we want to generate the specific project specific invoices, just we can do the search with the project number and we can easily search. So that will be a very friendly new feature that is available in the manage invoice screen after 22C. Now the next feature is for the project transactions analysis report. In any costing, there are some unprocessed cost is lying, or for the unprocessed cost, or there are a processed cost, we have the issues with the accuracy of the costing calculations. So there are so many questions asked from the different organizations that the costing is not accurate. How we want to analyze that the rate is picked from the person rate or a job rate is a correct, or sometimes there are a chances that the person rate is not defined or a job rate is not defined against the person's job, or there are sometimes non-labor costing rate is also not available. So to overcome all the issues, what we are doing, we go to the different setups. So we need to check the multiple screen to check the rates, like we need to go to the UI and we check the manage labor costing override is available for the person rate, if it is defined or not. We need to check the total transaction organization costing rule, and we need to, on the basis of the organization costing rule, we also need to check a rate schedule, that the rate is defined or not. So to check the costing transaction validation, we need to check and go to the multiple screen in the UI. So to overcome this issue, Oracle introduced two new different reports for the project transaction analysis report. The one report is to be specific for the unprocessed project transaction cost report. So those particular unprocessed costs that are not imported in the cost, we can get the data on this report, and in a one single screen we will get all the setup related to the cost. So in a one screen we will get the labor costing override setup, what was the organization costing rule, what will be the rate schedule. So in a one screen we can identify the errors, we can revise the errors, and we can recalculate the cost. Same while Oracle introduced the another report that is for the project cost report. So while we have a doubt that this particular data is not accurate, at the same time we need to again open the multiple screen for the accuracy checking and we go to the report. So in a single screen we will get the data about all the settings, we can validate the data, and we can again recalculate the same. So I think this is the very friendly two new OTB, two new report that will be introduced by the Oracle. So that will be definitely time saving reports for the costing purpose. My next feature for the 22C is planning currency modifications for the plan resource in the financial project plan. For this, like while we in an implementation stage, or while we convey introduce the project manage financial plan, we have asked so many questions by the organizations that how we can modify the planning currency. So our generic answer before the 22C is you need to delete the line and you can enter a new line and plan the resources again, just because of we are not able to modifying the planning currency. There are so many scenarios that one person is planned at present in the USD, as you can see on my screen, but the same resource is transferred from the US to Canada, and now onwards we need to plan this particular resources in the Canadian currency. So what we will do, we can just delete the line, we can again create a new line, and we can change the currency. But in the existing line, there is still no any facility available to modify the currency. So now in the 22C, Oracle gives the facilities to modifying the planning currency in the existing line. Once we change the planning currency, my plan rates are derived from the available conversion rate from the system. So I must say this is a very friendly features that Oracle give. We can easily plan the resources in the different currency if the such a situations are arise. So the next quick win feature is project status workflow enhancement. Currently, if I send the workflow, there are a one Oracle seeded notifications that send to the approval. But I get so many questions from the submitters that if I want to convey any message to approver that this particular project status is a very important, that you need to take the decisions on a very quickly basis, or there are any messages that submitter wants to convey to the approval, they cannot able to convey through the seeded notifications. So these features will enhance to give the submitters to add the comments in the workflow and the same comment visible while approval approves the notifications. Along with this comment, they can also check the status of the project. So while submitter submit the project status, what is the status of the project? While they approved, what will be the next status? While they reject, what will be the next status? So they can analyzing all the cycles of the status while they approve the hierarchy. So this is the two new features. Along with that, one new also features that are come with the project status workflow enhancement. So there are the serial approval is already available, and all the serial approval, let's take the example that are available on my screen, that I can set the serial approval for the submitting the workflow, that project manager first approve the workflow and then finance controller approve the workflow. So through all those cycle is completed, my project status remain the same as a submitted. But now if my workflow is I'm enabling for the serial approval, so if I'm doing the serial approval, I can also change the project status like that way. So if I submit the project manager, I can change the status and set the status like submitted to the project manager. So those who are a submitter, they can easily identify where exactly the project stands and where in the hierarchy that project is stuck. So they can easily communicate further and they can clear the hierarchy. So these three new features that are come up with the project status workflow enhancement by the 22C. Now another next quick win feature is they enhance the resource assignment update in the import project resource assignment through the FBDI. Now let's take the example, like if I manage the resources in the organizations, or if my particular project duration is changed and I need to extend the resource date in the system. So what I need to do, I go to the UI and then I change the dates manually. So there is no such facility available through I update the same resource assignment through the FBDI template. Along with this, for some of the organizations, they are using the third party software to manage the resources. So if I need to update the resources in the bulk, update the resource project role in the bulk, or to end date in the bulk, or change the date in the bulk, Oracle give the FBDI template. Through the FBDI template, we can manage the resource project level, we can assign the days, and we can add the resources, we can update the resources. So that will be a very easy features that give the by the Oracle for the resources perspective. We can manage the resources on a very easy manner through adding the resources through the FBDI template. So the next feature is for the quick win is enhance the error reporting when importing the award detail. Previously, while if we importing the award detail and if there is some exceptions, we get the output reports like this particular award detail is a fail. But why this detail or a particular transactions good fail, we don't have any detail message from the Oracle. So after this, Oracle give the enhancing output report, we will receive the detailed error. We'll take the example that my project number is not a valid for the transactions, or there is some issues in the award details. So while we importing the award details for the grant management, now we onwards we receive the detailed transactions report after 22C. So this is all about the quick win features. Now we will next further carry forward to the not quick win features. So those particular features we need the high level of a configuration and testing before enabling the same. First features for the not quick wins is additional process configurator sources for the invoicing. In the current, we have the process configurator to set the invoicing, but through this release, Oracle introduced the niche dimensions for the invoicing. So now onwards, we can do our custom based invoicing for some of the other dimensions that were newly introduced. Just take the example that if someone users that want to perform the invoicing on the basis of the burden costing project functional currency, so there are some of the new dimensions that were introduced. On this particular dimension, we can revise our invoicing calculations method. We can create our or person complete and person spent invoicing method, and through these custom formulas we can accurate our invoice calculation facilities through these all features. So there are so many different dimensions that will be introduced by the Oracle through this new additional process configurator. Next not quick win feature is for the programmed earned value analysis using the OTBI reporter. So I won't say this is the new feature. Altogether, this is the new functionality that been introduced by the Oracle in a 22B. So there are some of the organizations they will ask that for the set of the project they want to create a program or they want to create their own portfolio, and on the basis of that portfolio they want to create the KPI, and on the basis of the same they want to evaluate the actual versus budgeted program or a portfolio. So this particular functionality is introduced by Oracle in a 22B with the OTBI report. So the same OTBI report, they enhance some new more earned value analysis through the 22C. So now if they want to evaluate that program or a portfolio, and on the basis of the plan value or earned value, or on the basis of the what is the project completions, what will be the average price for this particular project, so that will be a very easy to take the decisions to the stakeholders or a project managers that where is my portfolio stand, what what will be the further KPIs that they need to derive for this particular set of project that they are part of a program. So altogether this is the very good feature that Oracle come up with. These particular features that Oracle picked from the Idea Lab, so that is definitely that demanded by so many users, and that is highest voted just because of it is picked from the Idea Lab, and did give the enhanced reporting for the specific portfolio or a program. The next feature, not quick win feature, is extend the manage project financial setting page with a setting page with a parameter. This feature is also picked from the Idea Lab by Oracle, and even while implementing or while any issues, users definitely ask that how why we cannot freeze this particular manage project financial setting, how we can default this particular value. So there are so many concerns raised by the users uh, throughout. So with this, Oracle introduced the page composer in manage project financial setting page. Through this we can freeze out any particular setup in the manage project financial setting. Let's take the example that if I want to freeze out the RBS. So once my project is created, I I am not allowing to change anything in RBS, I can freeze out the RBS. Same while if I generated any particular cost for this particular system is not allowing to change the project currency, so I can also freeze out the settings in a particular project through this page composer. Along with this, if I need to freeze out my template, let's take the example that I only want to allow the changes by the project manager on such particular page area in the template page only. So I can also this kind of modifications or a page composer activities that only project manager can do the changes. Those who don't have a sufficient roles or privileges, they cannot able to change on this particular page. So this is the one of the good facilities or on terms of to restrict the data while freezing the particular field in the manage project financial setting page. The next feature is for project cost transfer with a workflow approval using the REST API. So while we transfer a cost, there are so many questions that ask that while we transfer a cost from using the third party applications, or while we transfer the cost adjustment using the third party applications, the cost is directly important in the system. There are no any approvals, but if I want to get the approval from the specific approval or by the project manager or by the project finance, I don't have any workflow enable on the same. So after this new REST API, Oracle give the flexibility to add the workflow while I'm importing the cost or while I'm transfer the cost adjustment from a one software one of one applications to the other, from the third party applications to the Oracle. Meanwhile, I also manage the same through the Excel. If I'm doing any adjustment in a one Excel sheet and then I need to upload the same data in a Oracle, I can restrict through the workflow. So those particular approvals get the approve, then and then cost will be posted. If the same is not approved, it will be rejected and lying in the unprocessed transaction. So that will be one of the good feature from that we can restrict. So these particular are enabled through the REST API only. Previously the same is not available. Another REST API is for the planning lines using the spread when change the plan line dates. So there are a chances, so there are a change in the plan line dates for the specific project due to the scope change or due to the any changes in the managed project financial plan. The planning dates will be the change. Due to this, we have so many questions that the planning dates will be the change, and due to this, the spread, how we maintain the spread curve. So let's take the example for this one specific resources over here, that I plan one specific resources for these particular durations, and my spread curve evenly spreaded these particular resources like that way. But now I can restrict the spread curve. My planning date due to the scope change for particular resources, my planning dates will be the change, but I don't want to spread my resources on the newly defined date period. So I get an options through the REST API that I don't want to change my spread curve for these particular resources. We can just update the plan dates, and even I also get the update my spread curve using this particular REST API. So that will be give a functionality that we can manage the spread curve while the change in the dates of the any particular task or any particular resources. So this can be functionalities enabled for the REST API now onwards in the 22C, and that will be give a better flexibility that we can change the plan dates according to the requirement of the project manager. Next quick win feature is maintain a project progress using the project progress REST API. So there might be a chances that for the project progress, we using the any third party applications or on-site any tool that we using to show the project progress. So the same REST API is already available previously that we can directly show that particular project progress in the Oracle. But now they give some more enhancement in this particular REST API that while showing the project progress, we need to attach some of the additional informations. We need to attach some of the documents for this particular project or some additional notes. So previously, if they I want to show this particular attachments or notes, we can go to the UI and we can do the manual activity. But now we can do the same activity through the REST API along with the project progress. So while my project progress is updated through the any integrations with the REST API in the system, along with this I also map some of the nodes, additional informations and attachment, so that this functionality gives the more accurate data of the project progress along with the additional informations or attachments. Next not quick win feature is for the project budget. There are so many questions asked by the users that for this particular project budget we need to change the rate settings, we need to restrict the my budget is calculations on basis of the project, not on the basis of the project and top task. So we do have a one financial plan type, but for this if we want to change the same, we go to the manually in the UI and we need to create the budget and change the budget settings manually for this particular budget. So while this new enhance API for a project budget, if we want to change any financial plan for particular this project budget, we can do the modifications in a financial plan type. We can do up any specific changes to generate the budget. So while we generate the budget using the REST API, we can manage our own financial plan to creating the budget. So this will give the more flexibility for to create the budget through the REST API. So now onwards, like if we want to generate the budget for the specific financial plan or with the specific rates or with specific task level hierarchy, we can do the same through the REST API. The another feature for the REST API is project team member update and delete from the project template using the REST API. There were a chances in the organizations that some of the new team members will join for the particular business unit, or some of the person will left the organization. So it will always a tedious activity to manage the persons in the organizations, just because of for the one particular business unit we do have a multiple templates for the different plan types or for the different purposes. So in particular all template we need to manage these particular resources manually. If one particular persons or a team left the organizations, we need to delete this particular team member from the templates manually by going to the UI, opening the multiple templates and changing the same. Or the same question is also happen that while we managing the third party applications to manage the team, we need to update the members manually. So through this new REST API, we can update the team members or delete the team members through the single click with creating the Excel. So just we need to add the team members, and we can update the team members in all the related business unit. So we can enhance these particular integrations on the basis of a requirement, and we can versatile this that how my team members work to update or delete. So this is one of the good features that we can save our time to update or delete the team members manually in the in the system. The next not quick win features for the REST API is resource nominations update using a REST API. So as I initially mentioned, that if we need to update the resources through the FBDI template. So along with the same, if I have any other applications from this where I'm managing the resources, or there are resources, though I manage the same in my Excel, no need to go to every time in the UI and update the project role, or adding the resources in the different project and the resources for the specific project, or extend the resource date, or if the project is extended I need to add the resource detail manually. So this one of the good REST API that are come up with the project resource nominations. So through this we can easily add or update the resources in the manage resource tab. The next feature is for the grant management is find a sponsor project using the list of values for the project API. We have a get API for the project details, and we get the project details for this API. But now Oracle give more enhancement to get API for the project, that we can find only sponsor projects. So if particular organizations that they want to find those project, those are a sponsor project only. So through this particular API we can get the data of the sponsor project, and this for be used in any particular manner, like they want to add some award details or any personal uses. So this is only get API, but we can get the data for the sponsor project through this REST API. So this is all about the 22C all features. Please do ask if you have any questions, or please paste the same in a chat box so we can address you for the same.
Thank you,
Handing
Ami,
over to
for the
you.
wonderful. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Ami, for the wonderful insights. Um, so, is there any questions? Anay is a panelist today. He can reconfirm for us. Is there any questions you want to read out which can help everybody in the session or anything? Anay, if you can unmute yourself and let us know, please.
Yeah, there is a
Yeah.
yeah, Hardik, there is one question I think regarding the licenses, that if we do the drill down using the OTBI for the cost subject area, does it require additional license? So just to answer that, so basically it's a typical drill down feature that through the report itself you can open any particular transaction mainly related to the cost. So most probably it does not require any license. Still we can check once with Oracle and get back to the audience. But most probably it does not require any license, because it will just open up the a new page and show the details of the cost by using the same page similar to the managed project cost that we see on the screens. Yeah.
So thank you for that. Just quickly on one more thing that we'd like to keep you posted, that we'll be sending you the presentation PDF of this session, also the recording in a couple of days time. It will be easily available to you with a single tap. It will take you to the webpage of Evosys Global, and you can download the same and pass it to your colleagues. And so with this, we're ending the entire 22C webinar series from the Evosys side. So we'd like to thank you, everyone. And just with the last poll, if you can please help that how was the overall experience in today's session on the scale of 1 to 5, please? It will help us improve based on your feedback. Just on a quick poll, if you can please help, and letting us know how we did in today's session. Thank you. And just last one, if you can tell us if you were part of the earlier sessions, have you attended any of the previous sessions? Okay, thank you so much. And with this, we'd like to close in today's session, and would like to thank you everyone once again for your valuable time today and to be part of this. Thank you everyone, and we'll be ending today's webinar. Thank you so much.